What's going on, baby grandma? Welcome back to the show. Have you heard about the Enneagram, but you're confused on what the cheese balls it actually is? You've seen all of the memes on Instagram, but you're still wondering how the heck this personality quiz can help you in your business. If yes, this episode with Enneagram expert Tracy O'Malley is for you. Self-awareness is the secret to success in entrepreneurship, period. The more you understand you and the humans you work with, the better you'll be in sales, business, and relationships. I mean, when I found out I was a 7, it was like putting in contacts for the very first time. I was like, what? I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I was like, oh my gosh, I totally understand myself now. Oh my gosh, I'm not crazy. I mean, I am crazy, but like, this is who I am. And that's okay. And that's how I want you to feel after listening to these episodes. And after listening to a bunch of Enneagram episodes that I thought were a total snooze fest, I brought you an episode that is exciting, fun, and we dive deep. We dive deep. So grab your pen, grab your paper. Let's figure out your Enneagram and let's dive into part 1 with Tracy O'Malley. Are you afraid to eat salt? No, seriously. Until a few years ago, I was terrified to have any salt in my diet. And it wasn't until I started studying the metabolism that I realized that salt is essential for a healthy metabolism. I'm actually reading this book right now called How to Heal Your Metabolism by Kate Deering. And she mentions, are you ready for this? Salt helps reduce inflammation and cramping. It helps magnesium absorption, suppresses our stress hormones, improves insulin sensitivity, increases our metabolic rate, which means you're burning more fat, baby. It improves your sleep. And last but not least, it relieves constipation. If you are constipated, which I know sucks and it's not sexy and I know you want to poop, you need more salt. So here's what I take, here's what I do every single day. It's called Element, these delicious little electrolyte packets. I'm obsessed with the orange and the citrus right now. Oh, so good. I take them every single day. I add them to my water pre and post workout, and I've noticed that I repair better, I sleep better, I poop better. All things are better, okay? All things are better. To try it out for free, yes, for free, you get to try out all these delicious flavors. Head to drinklmnt.com/AngieLee. Listen, give your body that salty loving that it wants, okay? Try out Element, drinklmnt.com/AngieLee. I've taken a lot of quizzes, what's your triple moon sign, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of them felt a little froofy to me, but the Enneagram was the first quiz I took that immediately when I read the description, I felt less alone. I was like, wow, there is nothing wrong with me. This is the way I am. And it made me feel normal.
Well,
made me feel normal.
Totally. And it makes freaking sense. Like as an 8, I'm like a straight shooter, bottom line me, give me the bullet points, give me the baby, don't need the labor. Just tell me what we're doing here. Like that's me. Yeah. But what I loved about the Enneagram, and I'm all about all modalities of self-awareness. And the thing with the Enneagram is it combines psychology and spirituality and nature and nurture. I do believe that we're born with a certain temperament and disposition and calling on our life. I believe that with all my being. If you do love God, like steps of a good woman are ordered by the Lord, ordered past tense, already ordered. Okay. But then life gets a hold of us, and how that disposition and temperament gets expressed can change based on our environment, trauma, parents, whatever. And the goal for me with the Enneagram is there's nothing wrong with any of us. Nobody is broken. The goal is to bring you back to what you were originally supposed to be here for. And for you, it's like the chief fun officer. And I know because I'm raising one of you, my daughter's 24 years old, and oh my God, like she's the reason why I dove headfirst into the Enneagram. Like I knew looking at her, like I look at you, like crazy. I love it. And I didn't want to cage that enthusiasm or diminish that spirit or confidence. But because I didn't know how to communicate that language that you and she speak, I needed to learn it. And the Enneagram gave me the tools to be able to bring out the best in her. And that's what this tool can do in business and in parenting and your love life and your friendships is you want to be able to bring out the very best in every person you come in contact with. And if you can speak their language, trust and credibility goes way up, and people will look at me. They're like, dude, are you reading my freaking mind? I'm like, mm-hmm. I can speak your language, baby. I speak 9 of them. Bring it at me.
And now when I meet people, I'm like, you're such a 3. They're like, what? I'm like, that's a 3 thing to say and do. They're like, how did you know? And then I'm like, oh, are you like this and like this? So you notice patterns, right? Mm-hmm. And okay, I want to take it back to one, where can they take this quiz? Because I've had friends come over, they'll take the quiz and they'll say, oh, I'm between 4 of them. I'm like, what the heck?
Mm-hmm.
When I read my description, I was like, I am only this one. So one, can you be more than one? Two, where can we take this quiz? Where's the most legit place? And then number 3, this is something I advise, but I want to know if this is correct. I tell people sometimes if they can't figure theirs out from the quiz online, I tell them to read all the descriptions on one of the blogs or the websites that has a very in-depth description of them. And you'll know. When I saw the word enthusiast, I was like, that's me, because I didn't identify with the other one. So let's dive in.
Okay. So we're going to get a little education right now.
Yeah.
So I love that when you started this journey with the Enneagram, you had done a lot of work, especially, well, not all 7s, but you know who you are and you've always known who you are. Like you really, really have. And thankfully you had enough cojones to really step into that. And you went against the college professors and all the people who said, you should probably get a real job and all that bullshit. Like that was never going to work for you or my daughter. Right. So we got to be careful though, when we start saying, oh, you're such a 3 or you're such a XYZ. And I'm not, like, I do it too. So like, it's a great party game. I get it. It's fun and all that shit. But for somebody like me, my therapist thought I might be a 3 because, and I'll give you this example so you guys can really educate yourself before we start assuming whether it's for ourselves when we take a test or when we're looking at somebody that we're leading or parenting or loving, right? So my therapist thought I was a 3. And if you didn't know me very well, I have very high achieving qualities. I win shit. I crush goals. I definitely do what I say I'm going to do and I freaking crush it, right? All 3 qualities. The real important part about the Enneagram is understanding the motive, not just the behaviors or the stereotypes or the memes. Those are great too. I love them. I can go down the meme hole all day long, but the motive. And so I want to give you an example, like me as an 8 versus the 3 description. I look very 3. If you didn't know me, you would assume that's what I am. But the motive for the 3 is they believe that what they do, how they appear, their success, their achievement, their vanity, all of it, they have to have a certain level of accolades or achievement to be worthy of love, acceptance, approval, and attention. My reason for achieving has 0 to do with that. I don't want recognition. I prefer to fly under the radar because the motive for an 8 is they never want to be vulnerable. And I don't mean like emotional crying on camera kind of shit. I mean, I never want to ever, ever, ever rely on anyone for anything ever. So my reason for achieving and going after goals, especially when I started my network marketing business 8 years ago, I didn't give a shit about the trips or the freaking badge on my neck. Just make me residual income so that I never had to rely on child support. I never had to rely on another human being. So although it appears very achiever-like, the motive behind it was all 8. And that's the key to the Enneagram. So a lot of 3s get mistyped as 8s. A lot of 6s get mistyped as 8s. 8s are probably the most mistyped on it because their behaviors are so evident, but look at the motive. So when you go to take a test, I recommend the Enneagram Institute. If you take a free one that just pops up a score, just don't even bother. Really don't even bother. I'm not saying even the paid one is great. It's just a starting point and kind of like the first dissection, because this is a self-exploration process. And 65 to 70% of the time, the result is inaccurate anyway. And it's not because the test is sucky. It's because it's really hard to be objective with ourselves. And a lot of times you're going to answer based on where you're headed, because you know you're Miss Personally Developed Queen. So you're like, well, I'm going to be a 3. So I might as well just answer as though I am a 3 because everybody wants to be a freaking 3 because they win at winning. They just kick ass. But the best way to take the test is answer as though like you were just like entering the college age years when we thought we knew everything, and try not to compartmentalize it just in business. Like I really want you to think about that little version of yourself that was feeling insecure and the motive behind everything that you did. Like if I look back on my life, every single thing I have ever done, even from the age of my little 4-year-old self right here, is this weak? Is this considered weak or strong? Which is very 8 motivated, right? If it's weak, then I'm doing the other thing, right? So what I say is when you get the results, even of the paid test, I like the one at the Enneagram Institute. It's $12, the ready. Again, 65 to 70% of the time, it's not accurate. So what I usually say is take the top 4 scores and then look at the motives, not the behaviors, not the stereotypes, not what you think you might be, but the motives. Because if you have the wrong type, you're working on the wrong roadmap. And then this tool is really not very effective for you because you could be sabotaging success. You could be blowing shit up when you don't have to. You could be trying to be something you're not, and it's going to feel awkward and messy. And I'm not saying that that's always bad, because you got to be awkward and messy, but you want to go in the right direction for you. So it becomes easier the healthier you get. So for me today, because I'm pretty healthy as an 8, like I know what I'm great at. I know what I'm not. And I build people around me that have strengths that I don't. And that's why I don't have to work as hard. Right. So The other question you asked, can I be more than one type? No. And your type doesn't change. You don't. Looking at me as a kid, in my home life, I looked very much like a 9, my 9 wing, because I grew up in a pretty volatile, violent, alcoholic home with not a present emotional mom, right? So it was like little T was pretty much just handling shit all day long. But in that home, my 9 wing took over, right? But you put me on the playground, I'd kick anybody's ass. No problem. So
and a 9 is a peacemaker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
I was like, shoot, what's the 9 again?
Yeah. A peacemaker. So what happens is I've always been an 8. You will always be motivated by the same thing. However, depending on your health, your environment, your wing, your subtype, your age, that can take on all different expressions. And the healthier you get in your type, the more you're able to embody the other 8 types. So I can kind of embody all 9 types today, some more than others.
Okay, let's go through them each quickly. The motive, the strength, the weakness.
You know what? We'll start with the heart triad because this is really, really important. So there's triads. There's 3 triads. So there's 9 types in the Enneagram. 3 fall into each triad. So 3 of the types fall into the heart or feeling category. 3 fall into the brain or mind thinking category. And 3 fall into the gut or body category. So the 2s, 3s, and 4s fall into the heart triad. So everything they do, process, communicate is based on feelings, right? And what I like to tell people is like the underlying emotion for all 3 of those is shame. Now 2s, you might see it more, right? Outwardly. 3s, you won't see it at all because they're just going to achieve their way past the shame. They're going to bury it. And 4s, they will internalize that and be like, oh my God, they can kind of get pretty dramatic about it. So shame is the underlying emotion for all 3 of them. Now, just because you feel shame, don't assume you're one of these. Just going to say that. But their driving motive for all 3, although it looks very different for the 2, 3, and 4, is significance. So if you're a newbie in kind of using this as a tool when you're leading or loving or parenting people, like really see what they're driven by. If it's significance, you might be onto something, right? Don't assume, and it's not your job to go around typing people, but you can assume so you can speak to significance and see if that sticks. So the 2s are called the helpers, the givers. They want to be liked by those. They want to like them. So that's where that manipulation, like if they're in a darker place, like they can make anybody like them because their need, that's where they find their worth, right? And they can kind of really orchestrate a whole thing if they really get good at this. Their strengths, super empathetic, supportive, motivating, warm. Where they struggle is they can be over accommodating, indirect. They can be super angry when unappreciated, and they can overextend themselves. And then they have resentment and guilt because they're going to drop balls. That does not feel good to it too. The 3s, the achiever, we see a lot of them. They organize their lives to achieve specific goals, to appear successful in order to gain the respect and admiration of others. They will do anything to win. Not because they want to crush people, but because that's how they feel worthy. And usually like they grew up with parents that were like, you have to get the best grades. Like that's how they got attention from parents, right? Like if they achieved in sports, if mom was all about vanity, then sometimes that can play out, right? Their strengths are they're super energetic. They're usually the most entrepreneurial, confident, results-oriented. Give them a goal, they'll crush it. They win at winning, like I've said like 4 times. But where they get into trouble is they're super competitive, almost where they'll just blow by people. And this can disrupt people that they care about, their relationships. They can be abrupt. They can be so chameleon-like that they can appear fake, overly focused, and they can be selectively disclosing. That's where that fake kind of stereotype can come in, even though they aren't. They're just really like, I used to be really triggered by 3s because I was like, you're so fucking fake. And I knew you weren't achieving just for like the greatest good, like Miss Judge Judy over here before she got real healthy. And I would withhold like praise because I knew that was driving them. They are praise driven, but we want to praise them for their energy and their heart, not necessarily for what they do. Otherwise, it's like giving an alcoholic whiskey, right? So we want to feed into the healthier portions of these people. Now, the 4s, the individualists, they are the most intuitive on the Enneagram. They're the least typed because they're usually off in their own little bubble, being musicians, comedians, artists, creatives. They're amazing. They desire deep connections. They're always like how you're searching for fun and excitement. They're searching for authenticity, deep connections. They can hold space emotionally for anybody. But what happens is they believe that there's always something missing. So they appear 7-like in this striving for their unique self. So they can seem kind of flaky, but they really, really aren't. They're super inspiring, super creative, introspective, expressive, intuitive. The problem is once they see the vision, then they go to reverse engineer it and all hell breaks loose because they're like, I don't have that. I don't have that. I don't have that. And then they kind of go withdrawn. And where they're intense like an 8, but an 8 will attack it, 4 will withdraw. which is very sad. That's why we see a lot of comedians that are so out there. And then the next thing you know, they're gone. Think Robin Williams, right?
Yeah.
That happens a lot is they are so unique and expressive, but behind the scenes, they're like, what, there's nothing special about me. And if they don't get a grip on that, it goes pretty dark. They're so intense, self-conscious. They can be moody, a little guilt-ridden, but 4s are hard because like, think Mariah Carey and her vocal range, how huge it is. Like we were like, oh my God, that vocal range is huge. A 4's emotional range is that huge and literally can feel every emotion very real. It's very real for them. And when we go to minimize their dramatics a little bit, you really are going to put them into a more withdrawn space, kind of like caging your enthusiasm. If you cage a 4's emotion, that kind of happens to them too.
Yeah.
Okay. So those 3 are in the heart triad. The 5, 6, and 7s fall into the head or thinking triad. And so the underlying emotion for all of them is fear or anxiety, which I know you can relate to. My daughter can too. And if you have anxiety, don't assume you're one of these either. It just, we take on a lot of this stuff, but their need is for certainty. They need certainty, clarity, right? And so that's why you chase it, right? You're always looking for fun, certainty. Like you want to be certain there's going to be fun and a party and excitement and no bad feelings.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or certain there's going to be uncertainty because I kind of like uncertainty. Yeah.
Because that's exciting. Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing about the 7. Like the 3 is chasing significance, but it kind of looks a little different. Like the 7s are chasing certainty, but they want to be certain there's uncertainty. The 5s, which are the investigators, they have a thirst for information and knowledge. Their core motive is they want to feel capable and equipped to handle things. So sometimes they can hoard their energy and hoard their information, which sucks because they're so brilliant. And like God, please share that with the world. But they want to make sure like they have enough reserve in case. So a lot of times their brilliance won't even come out because they're so introverted and they want to emotionally detach as a way of keeping involvement with others to a minimum. So what's great about them is they're super analytical. They don't get emotionally charged. They're great to have in your boardroom sometimes because they don't get emotionally involved. They're super objective, which is amazing. They're super systematic. So you could probably use a 5 in your life somewhere. Give them one thing to be an expert on and they will be it. So I have a girl in my life where when she found out she was a 5, because she was mistyped, and she was mistyped as an 8, but she's really a 5. I said, now don't stay up all night Googling everything about the 5. And of course she did, because that's what 5s do. Like give them something. They're going to know everything about it.
Yeah.
Where they get into trouble, they can be secretive, detached when emotions are kind of important, super autonomous. They don't love to work with others, but they can. So if you love, lead, parent to 5, don't force them to be like an Angie. Like that will give them so much anxiety that you'll never see them again. Put them in a small group or let them go work off alone. It's good for them. And they underemphasize relationships. Now the 6s, I attract a lot of 6s in my life. They're the loyalists. And again, they are driven hardcore for certainty. Like they're the master troubleshooters, the what if this happens people, right? Worst case scenario thinkers. So for me, as being an 8, because I'm just so like a bull in a china shop, like having a 6 in my corner is like, but did you think about X, Y, and Z? I'm like, no, totally didn't. So thank you for that. Cause you just saved my ass a little bit. They're insightful, super prone to worry. Like I said, they have plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K all laid out. Like the worst thing to say to a 6 is it's not that big a deal. Don't worry about it. So knowing that, because I'm a don't worry about it, we'll figure it out later kind of person, to say that to my 6 friends is like very disrespectful. So I'm very mindful with my 6 friends. Like, I know that you're scared and you're worried that this might happen, this might happen, this might happen. They're like, yeah. And so they feel seen, heard, and understood. So they're more likely to trust my aggressive kind of like, let's go into this burning building kind of attitude. But what happens with 6 is they want to be prepared if anything goes wrong. Like when they say, I didn't see that coming, know that that feels like a death to them. Where I can handle that and you can kind of go with the flow with that. For a 6, that feels like death because they have so prepared, but they're loyal. Once they trust you, they will take bullets for you. They're the best collaborative people on the Enneagram. They persevere. They're resilient. They solve problems like nobody's business because they have the spreadsheet with all the worst case scenarios on it. What happens is if they're over worrying, no shit ever gets done. So they can procrastinate. If they're worrying too much, they don't trust that inner knowing, right? And they're brilliant. I'm like, what is your gut telling you? And they're like, I don't know. Tell me what to do. I'm like, no, I want you to trust your gut. It can be, analysis paralysis, and they can kind of be a martyr when they go to the dark side. So I love 6s. Yeah. Now we all know the 7s, like they are jumping from new ideas, and most of their life they were told to focus or don't be so flaky, but that's their superpower. So let them go. Let them, like if you're raising one, it's hard because especially if you're not a 7, but they need new ideas and people and experiences. They don't want to feel pain. They engage in positive planning. Stupid idea time. I know our mutual friend talks about stupid idea time. They're the kings and queens of stupid idea time. Like anything's possible.
Anything,
right?
Yeah. I'm the friend you call when I'm like, you know what? Yes, we're going to the moon on Sunday.
Yeah, totally. Like their imagination, they're enthusiastic, engaging. It's why you all love Angie, because she is so damn engaging and enthusiastic, and we need more of that. So let's stop putting 7s in the box. And they think quick. They can change course. A marketing expert right here. Like no shit. Where she can get into trouble, Miss Angie, is you can be a little impulsive, unfocused, a little rebellious, especially when structure comes into play, right? That's why supporting you with what can I do to help make the structure fun for you and exciting? And then the pain avoidant, obviously, but you're learning to step into that. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right. So the last triad is the instinctual gut triad. And this is the one I fall into. The underlying emotion is anger. And just because you're angry doesn't mean you're in this. The 8s, the 9s, and the 1s. So the 8s are kind of explosive with it. That's why they're so mistyped, because if somebody's angry, you automatically assume they're an 8. No, it could just be a 2 under stress, right? So 8s are explosive with it. 9s shut it down, like the 3s shut down shame. 9s shut down their anger, and 1s internalize it. They're like so inner critical. It's sad. So the 8s, the challengers, were all about justice. So these 3 types, their underlying motive for everything is truth and justice.
Be a good lawyer.
Yeah, it's not significance. Like a 3. So it's truth and justice, right or wrong. And their underlying emotion, like I said, is anger. So the 8s, we are the most intense, full energy on the Enneagram, and we keep situations under control. We don't have to be in control, but we won't be controlled. Like hell no. Yeah. I don't need to be in charge, but if I don't respect who's in charge, I will take over, period. 8s can be hard to lead if they don't trust you. Yeah. So you better straight shoot them. No bullshit. You try to be like, Susie salesy, like it ain't going to work. Like no, not going to happen. An 8 will do anything to hide their vulnerability when they're not super healthy. And once they trust that vulnerability is actually their strength, that's when you see world-class leaders like Martin Luther King, right? Their strengths clearly were direct. We're very strategic. We're super protective. I mean, I've been protective of you since the day I met you. And an 8, you can feel enter a room before they even do. And so if you're an 8, with great reward comes great responsibility. And the great reward is that we can be world-class, like huge leaders and make shit happen. But we also have to take responsibility knowing the effect on our energy just by being in a room has, and not use it to manipulate. And I used to do that when I was super unhealthy. I knew I could intimidate anybody. Yeah. And I worked in a male-dominated industry for 15 years. So where we struggle is we can be a little controlling, demanding. We judge, like I said, are you weak or are you strong? There's no gray area.
All right, friend. If you've been hanging out with me for a while, you know that I am a real grandma when it comes to technology. I don't want to figure out Excel, Dropbox, apps on my phone. Where the heck is the cloud? Where is all my stuff? If you really think about it, where is this cloud, Anyways, a few years ago when I started my online business, I felt so overwhelmed by all of the software I needed to run my business. Do you feel like that right now? I didn't want 6 different platforms to host my website, host my courses, my email, my webinar landing pages. I didn't want to manage all of that. And I didn't want to have to pay for all of these separate tools. And then how do they integrate? How do they connect? Ooh, I don't know how to do that. Okay. But luckily, I don't have to. And neither do you, because Kajabi does it all. I found the one-stop shop to running your entire online business. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Even better news, my friends at Kajabi are hooking you up with 30 days free. A whole month to try it out at angielee.com/Kajabi. So try it out for a month. If you love it, you love it. If you don't, then you don't, but you might as well try it out. angielee.com/Kajabi. Kajabi is spelled Kajabi. Kajabi is the only platform that does it all, and it does it well. So you don't have to get tangled in the tech and want to stick a pencil in your eyeball. You can just wake up and run your business. angielee.com/Kajabi.
I used to judge people all the time. And it's why I had a hard time with women, honestly, for most of my life, because my mom was my example of weakness.
Yeah.
back in the day. And we can be a little intimidating as a way to protect our vulnerability. But an 8 healthy can really change the world. 9s, peace and harmony in their environment, inner peace, like they will do whatever.
Yeah.
That's why when I grew up in an alcoholic home, my 9 wing came out to play a lot. They don't like conflict, tension, demands, or ill will. They don't. They will sacrifice their own opinion or thoughts or anything to keep that. They're super diplomatic, super inclusive, super diplomatic, easygoing, accepting. You just love, like nothing's hard with a 9 when they're healthy.
Yeah.
Where they get into trouble is they avoid conflict. They can be unassertive, procrastinators, big time, indecisive. They're the ones that, where do you want to go for dinner? I don't care, whatever you want. Or like they're afraid that their opinions and thoughts don't matter very much. And so they can really forget. And over time, they really don't even know who they are. And because they've sacrificed so much, it almost becomes subconscious that when you really push them, that's where that procrastination comes out, and their anger comes out in the form of passive aggressive behavior. They won't explode like an 8 usually, but all of a sudden you'll be like, where the hell did that come from? Because they'll get passive aggressive. The last one is the ones, the reformers. I like to call them the improvers. They sometimes get the rap of the perfectionist. They are seeking perfection and a perfect world in their environment, in their workspace, in themselves. So they are always working to improve themselves and everyone around them, which can be really great because they high standards, high integrity. My son's 1 wing is so damn strong. Clay's probably is too. Like really good, bad, like just the truth. They tell the truth.
Yeah.
So their quality, I mean, these are the people you want, like with your image, like your branding, like they make everything beautiful and high quality, super organized. They have a spreadsheet for everything.
Yeah, that's great.
Like that gives me heart palpitations. Like
that
the
makes,
word,
yeah,
I'm breaking out hives just saying the word spreadsheet. They're super perceptive. They know what looks pretty, feels good, and they're super honest almost to a fault. That's where that critical kind of, they can feel unemotional about stuff, but they really like, if you're with a 1 and they seem critical, I want you to have compassion, because what that looks like on the inside to themselves is like times a million. So that's how I find compassion for 1s, because they can drive me a little crazy sometimes.
Oh, they drive me crazy. I'm
They
like, stop. It doesn't need to be perfect. Let's go. Let's go to the party.
You guys are robbing the world of your gifts. Like, honestly, none of us are judging it like you judge it. And just know that we need you, because you are the integrity queens and kings. You are the high standards, and we all need high standards. Like we get our standards, not our goals. So we're grateful for you. But for the love of God, just do it. The 1 can be like super reactive. They can be super judgy, critical, opinionated, and super impatient. Wow. Super impatient. So that's all the types wrapped up in 1. But if you can start narrowing down at least like the triad, whether it's heart feelings, head thinking, or body instincts, that will kind of help you narrow down who you're talking to. Like I said, don't go around typing people. That's my job. That's what I do with people all day long, to help you guide your way to it so that you're working with the right roadmap.
Today's episode is brought to you by Organifi. Here's the deal, my friend. Most of us could use more energy, but the answer isn't more caffeine. It is not more coffee. That is not the answer to more energy. At some point, we need to look at the root cause of our fatigue. We need to look at what's really going on in our body, okay? And it turns out there are 2 main reasons for low energy. Number 1, chronic stress. That's your cortisol, baby. And number 2, a lack of nutrition. And by lack of nutrition, I mean your body is not getting enough micronutrients. And this is why I'm obsessed with the Organifi greens and reds, because they're not only super delicious, I take them everywhere I go, but they're also packed with these adaptogenic herbs and mushrooms to balance our cortisol levels and to bring down our stress, so we are not freaking out all the time and holding on to weight and breaking out and feeling like a zombie. So what I do is a scoop of greens in the morning to boost my energy and to make sure I take a poop. You know what I'm saying? Next, in the afternoon, because it's as hot as a sweaty butt crack here in Texas, I will do the reds. Not only am I ensuring that I get a ton of micronutrients, but I also have this delicious summery drink that I crave. I look forward to it every day. I'm like, where's my reds? Where is my reds? So to try it out, head to Organifi.com/Angie Lee. The code saves you moolah. If you're feeling like your adrenals need some love right now and you're a little too stressed, I can't wait to hear how this helps you. Organifi.com/Angie Lee. It's interesting because I know a lot of women who are in direct sales or network marketing are listening. And
Mhm.
the example I use, so you guys can start seeing this with your customers or in sales, or how does this actually help you in business? Know what people are motivated by. Like Tracy said, the motive. So me, if you're recruiting me to be on your Beachbody team or Isogenics or whatever, if you told me you're going to be a octagon dinosaur 3-star emerald by the end of the year, I'm like, cool. Where's the party though? Is there going to be a fun experience? Because if not, this sounds lame. So if you're speaking to a 7 and you're recruiting them, you're talking to them about the experience, and it's going to be fun, and you're going to have freedom, and you're going to meet your best friends, and there's going to be a cruise, and like, right? But then if you're recruiting a 3, you're like, hey, you're going to achieve
Here's your badge.
Z. Yeah. Here's your badge. You're going to be a 3-star diamond, dinosaur, octagon, whatever. And that drives them. So what's really cool about the Enneagram is, I think as a saleswoman, you have leverage, because if you know who you're selling, if you know the Enneagram of who you're selling, game over, because you know what they're motivated by.
Well,
Right?
when I started in network marketing, I mean, I was fresh out of rehab. I had pretty much wiped out my entire social network, like all of them, because obviously who I was hanging out with wasn't best for me. They were great people, just not great for me. And so, yeah, great time to start a network marketing business. Hey, join my team. I'm the epitome of health and wellness. Yeah, like, yay. Like, no, I was not.
Yeah.
And so I knew, and I had about close to a year of Enneagram education and integration under my belt in my home. And it was working in my home. They were teenagers at the time. I turned my shit around fast with this tool. So I knew that in order to build a huge network marketing business, and one that would go the distance, I needed to leverage every human I talked to. And I had to speak what was in it for them all the time. And I knew if I did that, what was to be for me would work itself out. With my knowledge of the Enneagram, every person I talked to, I mean, I had less than 400 Facebook friends. I had nobody on Instagram. I was a single mom that went to rehab at 40 years old. Like, really, you're going to join my successful network marketing team? So I know those of you listening right now who are like, oh, I can't do it. I don't have enough followers. No, you just have to be able to talk properly to the people that are talking to you. So I could, within seconds, kind of understand who I was talking to. I didn't even talk Enneagram talk until 4 years ago, but I've been using it for almost a decade. You know, I didn't go home to my kids and say, you know what, you're a 2 and you're a 7. Like, no, I just spoke to them as though they were, and it was working. Same thing in network marketing. And so my first 2 years in network marketing with no social network, I took 82 people and leveraged them into 15,000 people, which turned into my first $1 million income because I could speak the language of my leadership. Right.
Wow.
And that's what's really, really important. I knew what motivated Susie. She wanted the fun. I knew the 3s, like, here's the trip, here's the goal, here's the ranking. If I'm talking to an 8, I'm like, here's the bottom line, bitches. This is what we're doing. You know, the 2s, I'm like, you just want to help tons of people.
Yeah.
The 5s want to research it all and specify one product and sell one product. Fine, you do that. You don't have to do it like Susie over here, who's for the party. And the 6s, like, you want to like troubleshoot everything. Who's going to sue you? Nobody. Don't worry about it. We got this, right? The 1s, I got to have a spreadsheet and it's got to look perfect. And oh my God, like, I get it. And the 9s, I just want to make everybody happy. No. But I could speak the language in this scenario. I could have a solution for everyone. Yeah. But the most important thing is I could duplicate. Systems duplicate, people and personalities don't. So you have to be able to speak to your people. I mean, Angie teaches marketing and sales, and I am never going to change who I am, but I can change how I express myself based on who I'm talking to. Because honestly, at the end of the day, what's in it for them is what's most important, whether it's in relationship. Like, you got to have some compromise in relationships, but in business, like, how you build credibility and trust is speaking their language, right? They want to be seen, heard, and understood. And when people are seen, heard, and understood, anything's possible within that relationship.
Amen. I think where I'm using the Enneagram now is to work on my weaknesses. So as a 7, obviously we don't like structure. We don't like the word structure is very weird to me. I'm still not sure what that even means. We don't like that. And I'm working on this book. So I recently have realized that supposedly I've heard this quote, creativity breeds in structure. I giggle when I hear this because I'm like, what are you talking about? But then I'm like, okay, Angie, okay, you got this. And what's been interesting is what I said to myself today, a very 7 thing to say is, okay, Angie, how could you make structure more fun? Because you're obviously not going to go make spreadsheets. So what are you willing to do to incorporate more structure into your business so you can be even more creative? So instead of resisting it and being a little brat, how can you make it more fun? Because if not, 7s will become total brats and be like, I'm out. This isn't fun, so I'm not doing it. And that has really hurt me a lot of times in life. And, writing a book's not fun. So I have to figure out how to make it fun. So what's so cool about the Enneagram is it really challenges you to work on your weaknesses, right? And figure out how to, what do you call this? Like coach, I don't know, like parent yourself?
Yeah, well,
it teaches you how to parent yourself.
Well, like, cause my daughter's a 7 too. And you know, what's funny is about you guys don't like structure, but when you guys are under extreme stress, all of a sudden you take on that unhealthy one, which is like OCD, rigid, non-negotiable, Judge Judy, like critical of every damn thing. And I'm like, where the hell did my enthusiast go just now?
Judge Judy.
But what's great about that, because I know that I used to take that as like disrespect when my daughter would go into that mode. And now because I know that, and people that love you like Clay and your mom and Mike, like knowing that about you, like, because we love you, that's an indication that Angie's under stress. And instead of like fighting her or being like think she's disrespecting me, like, no, that's just my beautiful angel under stress here. So I can ask a question. Okay, what can I do to help you make this easier for you? What can I help you do to make structure fun? You know, as somebody that loves you, that's what I would say to you. Yeah. You know, and somebody like me, you know, solitude is great. Isolation is not. And an 8 under stress goes to the unhealthy 5, which is like introvert, like on steroids, but in a very dark place. So knowing that about yourself, and like Clay, like if you know, you've got a 2 that you're in love with, that you got a 2 and a 7, like in love, because my son is a 2, and the sweetest, like, will help, like the greatest roommate, like he can live with me till forever. It's great.
Yeah, they're the best.
So helpful. But if he feels unappreciated or like he's not taking care of, like nobody can read his mind and know what he needs, then all of a sudden Mr. Resentful comes out and he becomes explosive and defensive and mean. And before, like in 2012, he said, how did we not kill each other? I'm like, oh God, by the grace of God, because a 2 under stress, extreme stress takes on an unhealthy 8. And how dare you, challenge me, the challenger of all time. Yeah. And so now, instead of feeling like he's being really disrespectful to me, I can recognize, okay, Joe's under stress. Babe, what's really going on?
Today's episode is brought to you by the most delicious honey on planet Earth, Beekeepers Naturals. And here's the deal, my friend. If we've been hanging out for a bit, you know this isn't just any regular honey. This honey is packed with bee pollen, which has tons of B vitamins to boost your energy, propolis to boost your immunity, and royal jelly for brain health. Give me all that brain health. Give me all that memory, all of that focus. So what I will do is a tablespoon of the honey midday for a little midday energy boost. I add it to oatmeal, coffee, smoothies. I eat it by itself because it's so freaking delicious. I look forward to it every day. And then I've also been eating the honey lozenges like they're going out of style. Not only are they great for your immune system, and you should be giving these to your kids instead of the crappy sugar-filled, food coloring-filled, crappy lozenges at the grocery store, you know? These are the real deal. Only 1 gram of sugar per lozenge. Lozenge. How do you say that? Lozenge. So I've been eating these because, well, it's a nice little something when I want a little sweetness during the day. But it's also great because I speak a lot, and with podcasting, my throat gets really sore. So I love their honey lozenges. They need to be in every single store instead of the crappy sugar-filled, food coloring-filled ones that are given to kids when they're sick and they have a sore throat. So check them out, beekeepersnaturals.com/Angie Lee. Check it out. The code Angie Lee saves you on their entire shop. So check it out, beekeepersnaturals.com/Angie Lee.
And just saying that to a 2, what's really going on, asking them what they need is like their love language, and it's words of affirmation and appreciation, like everything. Cause they will just do it and never really expect it, but they kind of low key do. Because their motive is, I have to be helpful and giving in order to be worthy of love. Like the 3 needs to be successful. The 2 needs to be giving and do things for others in order to be loved. But when it's not appreciated, that's when that dark side comes out.
Yeah. Which I don't blame them, right? I mean,
no,
we can.
But there is a manipulation there, like that darkness of it, like that martyr kind of thing. And that's like 2s can become the most codependent. And that's usually why they end up with narcissists, because the 2s drive that motive to do for others. And a narcissist is like, yeah, I'll take that. So that's why they always end up together, because there is a payoff for both of them. But usually the 2s are like, yeah, but I'm the victim in this. But it's like, yeah, but you kind of like fed into that in the beginning because that was how you felt worthy. And really knowing that about yourself can help you lay down boundaries. Now my son today has the healthiest boundaries of anybody I've ever met. And he can step into that beautiful creative energy, because 2s take on the beautiful 4, that individualist, that creative, that's probably why Clay does what he does. He's brilliant. Yeah. But because he's laid down the boundaries. And so 2 with boundaries, I think, are the best people in the world, because they already are natural empaths and so compassionate. They truly do care deeply, and they can feel that. Yeah. But it's when they get sideways with their boundaries that it turns into a shit show.
Yeah, I notice a lot of my girlfriends and people in my life are twos, and I'll say, "How did I attract you?" And they'll say, "Well, it's just so fun to help you because you're fun to help because it's a party, and I need more of that." And then I'm like, "I attracted you because I need you to help me stay organized and have structure and pick up all my shit."
And take time to feel. Like,
Yeah.
cause sevens are like, so like, they don't want to feel the hard things all the time. They're just like jumping to the next thing. So I know like I attract a lot of 2s and 4s in my life because I'm so stoic and like, you will not penetrate my wall of stoicism. So like having to, of course I'm dating a 4, which I'm like, of course. But he's like, I don't know what I bring to the table. I'm like, you make me feel shit that I don't like to feel. So it's good.
Yeah.
Drive me freaking crazy.
I love that. He's like, I don't know what I bring to the
I said, I'm going to teach you structure and like how to get shit done, but you're going to make me feel shit. So party.
All right, baby grandma, did you just geek out on the Enneagram with me and Tracy? If yes, you are going to flip your tits when you hear part 2. We answer all of your juicy Enneagram questions that you asked me on Instagram. Go listen to part 2. Let me know what you think. Tag me, tag Tracy. Let us know what you discovered about your Enneagram, and I'll catch you in part 2. Love ya.